All right, everyone, big in the news, Antifa members, they claim to be anti-fascist, but then they're like trying to intimidate his wife while she's home alone. No, they attacked Tucker Carlson's home, and they tried to break the door down, I guess, but they were too weak to do that. And then the police showed up and, they basically scattered. They have a tendency to do that because it's like attempted breaking and entering is, a fairly substantial crime, especially when you're a member of a recognized terrorist group in numerous nations and states. By the way, it's very funny that people still, they get hung up on newspeak labels. It's like if you call something by an inaccurate label, you can scramble people's minds so easily. It's like the Patriot Act. Okay, well, if I don't support this, I guess I'm unpatriotic. This is the Good for Families and Happy Children Act. It's basically an act that says I can spy on you, but you hate children if you oppose it, because look at the name. That's what Antifa has done. Oh, we're anti-fascists. We fight against fascism. Well, no, and you're not protesters. It was very funny to see. They're like, oh, group of protesters stands outside Tucker Carlson's home. So they're openly calling for violence, trying to vigilante-style force him to I guess, move or something. They're like, oh, get out of here, we know where you live. They're doxing people and then trying to kick in their doors. That's not a form of legitimate protest. No, it's not. It's a form of political intimidation, usually indicative of a third-world dictatorship. This is the sort of thing that Maduro's people do down in Venezuela to opponents of the regime. Yeah, they're just protesters, though. It would have been great if they weren't a no-guns family and his wife had a fucking AR-15. That's what would have been wonderful. That would have solved the situation very, very quickly. I think that they probably would have scattered long before the police arrived once she came out packing, now wouldn't they? Would have been hilarious. Especially, weren't they live streaming part of it, too? No. Yeah, people should defend themselves against political intimidation. A lot of political intimidation takes place online, though. There's no, I mean, what's the difference between standing outside someone's house, you're like on the street with a sign saying basically, fuck you, you're a Nazi, get out of our neighborhood or something. What's the difference between that kind of political intimidation and trying to non-real life deplatform them online? Well, there is none. It has the same basic impact. Has the same psychological impact, on some e-celeb or something. Their primary income might be online. And think about this. Tucker Carlson's a sellout. He's just another vague, corporatist, muddled neoliberal. Tucker Carlson is not far-right. He pretends to be a far-righter on TV. He's an actor, dude. He's not even, do you think he lives in a fucking mansion and shit? Which is probably why they weren't able to break down the front door. It's probably made of like solid oak or something. It's probably reinforced. It's got rebar inside it or some crazy shit. Yeah, now he'll have to put like bars on his lower floor windows and get more fire insurance and shit like that. Well, actually, you should get shit insurance. Antifa used to throw Molotovs. They've decided because they have scat fetishes, they just poop in a bottle and they throw that instead. Like, they're really sick people. Like, fucking, it should be counted as biological terrorism, by the way, since I'm sure most of them were paused. So yeah. Definitely drag them off to a cell. Put them in Guantanamo so they can see what fascism really is. I'm just semi-joking there. No, and you've got to understand, there are groups that have been on the right wing that have tried to intimidate people the same way, but that's fascism. They're anti-fascist, so the same tactics are used against similar kinds of people, but it's okay. Tucker Carlson's a neocon sellout. But number one, his family was intended. He was live, like, broadcasting at the time, so they obviously meant to wait until he wasn't even there. Either that or they're just too fucking dumb to know when he's even scheduled. You're trying to intimidate a dude, you don't even know anything about him. You don't even know when he's on TV. And he works for Fox. He works for a multinational, globalistic, very pro-globalistic parent firm. The Murdoch Empire fucking Murdoch's Australian. Fox News isn't even primarily just U.S. It's owned by a parent company, News Corp, that's far larger than just U.S. operations. He's a globalist. He's a neocon. That's what he ultimately represents, and you're acting like he's a fascist. No, you're not intimidating him. Look, Tucker Carlson probably would have come out and punched your lights out, and he could have done that easily considering the scrawniness of the average Antifa member. Why do you think they have to carry billy clubs? It's very funny. The left always makes the argument, well, you own a gun because you can't hold your own in a fist fight. Well, then why are these people like constantly carrying around bricks and ball bats? Ever ask yourself that? Is it because they're compensating a little bit? Yeah. It's too bad that New York is New York isn't a castle doctrine state, because I think they live, north of New York City or on Long Island or something, right? It's very funny because Antifa usually is relegated, like, specifically Portland and San Francisco and some of these places have a lot more, like, Antifa activity. West Coast is definitely more anarchist and communist there than in New York City. And the NYPD will kick shit in and take names. They're not going to deal with that sort of bullshit. Does the NYPD operate outside outer Long Island or something? They'll probably get the FBI involved. And thankfully, they recorded themselves. So it's, there's always the possibility one of them gets identified by some feature that they happen to have. That's why they cover themselves up, because they don't want to go to prison, because they know they'll be dropping the soap every day. That's why everyone should be armed. They should be prepared to defend themselves if necessary. Keeping in mind, of course, in some states you have a duty to retreat in public places, which is totally stupid. The only way that should kick in is, like, if you're in a crowded street and somebody, like, tries to punch you, whipping out a gun and firing at them, probably not the greatest idea unless you're one hell of a marksman, because you might, hit the little old lady that's right behind them. That makes sense, but, like, if it's on your own property, in most states, you're allowed to stand your ground directly. You don't have to retreat. If someone's trying to break down your door, you can blow them away, and so no problem. Unless they turn around. You can't, like, shoot them in the back once they're fleeing. Keep that in mind for legal purposes. But yeah, these people were trying to gain entry unlawfully to his home and rambling about knowing where he lives and crazy shit like that. Yeah, this is a form of political intimidation. It's basically a form of terrorism. Absolutely it is. And it needs to be called what it is. Look, the fake news media says protesters. Yeah, protesters were trying to harass Tucker Carlson. Not a big issue. No, they tried to break into his home while his wife was alone there and apparently unarmed, locked in a pantry. Yeah, wonderful time. And this is exactly what groups like CNN promulgate. This is exactly what they cause. They cause this kind of violence with their nonstop toxic rhetoric. And people like Maxine Waters, they cause it too. I mean, they're always saying, well, Trump's rhetoric caused X crime or something. Well, then I guess this was caused by the left. By the way, one of their sayings that they're most fond of is liberals get the bullet too. So basically, once they deal with the so-called fascists, they'll turn around and the liberals will be like enslaved. They're going to put you in a gulag or work you to death in a salt mine. It might be the best thing for you, really, considering how dumb some of these people really are. They think that Antifa are their allies or that they're useful idiots. Basically, I wonder if Antifa members know how often they are used as pawns by a bunch of neoliberal billionaires. I really wonder about that. That's about all. Peace out.